Hey everybody, I am Rick Robinson. Welcome to the Rexburg Hustle today. We are not streaming live today, actually, guys. Facebook Live is actually down, so this is a recording that we're going to upload later. But we are broadcasting from our studio here in Rexburg, Idaho, on Main Street with our Main Street cam. It's a beautiful, beautiful day outside. The sun does exist, and we're always excited to see that in Rexburg. Guys, if you are watching on Facebook, please make sure to like our page. If you're watching on YouTube, please make sure to subscribe. And if you're in one of the podcast apps, again, please make sure to subscribe. Those mean a lot to us. We really appreciate your guys' support. Guys, our show today is brought to you by Whitwood Construction, which is a local construction company here in Rexburg. Whitwood Construction was established in 1981 by owner Mark Whittleton. Whitwood Construction has successfully completed over 3,000 jobs in Mark's career. They specialize in remodeling, consulting, and also new construction, and they provide customers with very high-quality professional workmanship, which I can actually testify to because the image you guys see on the screen right now is an actual kitchen that Mark recently finished that I was able to go do pictures of. And if you guys want the most top-notch quality construction that you can get in this area, Whitwood Construction, guys, go to whitwoodconstruction.com. Guys, we are really excited. We've kind of been really kind of getting excited for the show because we've got kind of a firecracker of a person in the studio with us today. It's Kymberly Stoddard. She has started and run several successful businesses here in Rexburg, which not everybody can say. If you look around in Rexburg and see how much vacant commercial and office space and stuff we have, you can see that not every business survives here in Rexburg. Kymberly has been able to start and maintain and run and be successful in several businesses. I'm going to make it mandatory that as she walks up that we dub in the music Eye of the Tiger once we get the recording done because she is the Eye of the Tiger. Kymberly Stoddard, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks, Rick, for having me.
You bet.
I've already said I don't want Eye of the Tiger. I want anything Bon Jovi.
Okay,
I'm a Bon Jovi girl.
You guys will notice real quick that Kymberly has a ton of energy. She's super excited, always pumped up, always that's why I call her a firecracker of a person. And we always enjoy being around Kymberly. Her energy is infectious and always you have a way of just lifting people up and making people excited.
Well, thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
That's a compliment that I will take.
Good. It's supposed to be one, so that worked out good. So Kymberly, obviously you've started a lot of businesses here in Rexburg and in other places. What is it that gives you so much drive? And I guess tell us a little bit about your background and what you've done in business, just to kind of give our audience an idea of kind of who you are and what you've done.
Okay, well, I've always had kind of an entrepreneurial spirit, I would say. When I was probably in 6th or 7th grade, I remember walking home from school on Main Street. The middle school and junior high were on Main Street, and I'd walk home right past Mill Hollow, frozen yogurt, and I loved it, but of course I was like 10 and I didn't have any money. So I remember talking to the owner and saying, if I take these frozen yogurts and go door to door and sell them at college housing, what will you pay me?
That's awesome.
So I started doing that, and every day I would just go to Mill Hollow, pick up 20 yogurts, make $5 or $10, and it was a great way to start business. And then as I was going to the college housing, I thought, well, I could do other things for these college kids. So I started taking out garbage or sweeping their porch, and they would pay me money. And when you're 10, like $6 is a lot of money.
It's huge. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of how I started. And then after I got married, my husband and I were living in Utah, and we always wanted to work for ourselves and start our own businesses. So we started decorating for weddings. So that was probably one of the first real businesses I started. And we were doing wedding decorating and really enjoyed it. But we were finding that Utah was a hard place to do it.
For weddings?
For weddings.
Isn't it like the wedding capital of the world?
It is. That's interesting. But there were so many reception halls that we were competing against.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
That was a little difficult. I was working at a scrapbook company, Die Cuts with a View. And at first we were just cutting out die cuts and packaging them. And then we went, my aunt and I, who owned the business, we went to Chicago and Texas, and we got some big orders in. And so the next week I was meeting with the president of AC Moore and Hobby Lobby.
Wow.
And we really got some big orders. So then we were navigating the growth with that. And I was also coaching gymnastics and cheerleading in Utah Sports Center, which I really loved. And I thought there's got to be a better way, to connect the cheer and the gymnastics. So I started working with all of the junior highs
Okay.
in Utah County, and I started a cheerleading program where they would cheer for the Grid Kid football teams.
Mm-hmm.
So then I had about 400 cheerleaders and hired coaches for all the different schools and loved that. And through all of this, I think I just really was passionate about learning how to work with people.
Okay.
How to feel a need in a community, how to make a difference for people. So after we decided to move up to Idaho, because I remember going to like a community carnival.
Okay.
And we were there, and there was some booths of people that were running for school board
Mm-hmm.
and different political offices. And we're at this event that should have been our whole neighborhood. And as I was walking around, I didn't know anybody. And I was really discouraged by that. I thought, I've been here for 7 years, have 2 kids, and I just didn't know people. And I thought, I missed that about Rexburg.
So this was down in Utah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We were living in Orem at the time. We bought a house. We were looking at another home, and just clear as day, it was like, if you want a community, if you want to make a difference, then look at Rexburg again.
Huh. That's so interesting.
It was, and I thought I never wanted to move back to Rexburg. I thought.
A lot of other people think that too.
It's
You're not the first
true.
one that, yeah.
Yeah, we say that a lot. Like, why did you come back to Rexburg? But once we knew what we could do, that we could make a difference, that we could raise our family here, it was very natural to want to do that. So we moved back to Rexburg. We started decorating for weddings more full time here. And
Was it more successful up here?
It was really successful here. I started the Upper Valley Bridal Fair. So I started doing a bridal fair, opened that up, had different vendors come, did that for about 4 years before I sold the bridal fair, but kept the wedding business. We probably got to a point where we did about 50 weddings a year.
Wow.
So
that's almost one a week.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
you guys were killing it.
And what's interesting is there would be in October, we wouldn't do any weddings.
Okay.
But the second week of June, I would do 5 weddings.
Oh my gosh. And is that just a 1-day setup and takedown, or is it okay? So
Yep.
you guys were able to do it, because I think of a wedding, and I just remember, when we were planning, well, my wife was planning our wedding, and I just remember how much effort and time went into that. But you guys just had it dialed in.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. We knew what we needed to do, so we would meet with our brides and say, this is the backdrop, these are the tablecloths, these are the centerpieces.
Which takes so much stress away from
This
them.
is how much it costs.
Oh,
and
that's awesome.
And we'd go and do it.
Yeah.
So we were doing weddings, and that was going really well. And then something changed with I always wanted to do business, like I said, and I was introduced to Heritage Makers, which is a network marketing company. And I never thought that I wanted to do network marketing. Right.
I'll lose my friends, I'll lose my family, the perspective that everybody has.
You're not going to make any money.
Yeah.
You're going to pour everything into
Right.
it. So I started Heritage Makers a little, just thinking I'll get my own discount. And for 10 years, I actually found out I was pregnant with my last child, who's now 13. I started Heritage Makers 2 days after I found out I was pregnant with him.
Wow.
So I signed up to do that, and for 10 years, built a really successful business.
Oh, that's awesome.
And had a large team, won a lot of awards and recognition, and made a lot of money. And I really fell in love with network marketing businesses. I think you can learn so much. I think you connect with people. You build relationships. So I loved it. And then I kind of transitioned out of that a little bit. I still have a team that I still work with.
So that business is still going. That's awesome.
Yep,
Okay.
that business is still going. I
Wow.
still get a car bonus every month
Nice.
from that business.
Yeah.
And still work with my clients and my team doing that. And then, I feel like with business, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you've got to have some focus and some clarity.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And so all of the times when I've started businesses, I've been thoughtful about where my family is in that stage.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so when they were little, weekends didn't really matter.
Right.
So we could do weddings. And then when I was doing Heritage Makers, that was a good time when my kids were, that toddler to young teenage age. And then I was focused on what I was doing and what I needed to do to build my team with Heritage Makers, but also to make sure my family maintained, my number one priority.
Right.
And then
would you say, sorry to interrupt, would you say as an entrepreneur, it's hard to find that balance of family and work?
No.
It hasn't been hard for you? Because I know it's a struggle for a lot of entrepreneurs.
Yeah, but I think that's more of a personality.
Okay.
I think because I've always been an entrepreneurial and had that goal and vision for myself, I don't think my focus would be any different if I was going to a job every day and working 9 to 5.
Okay.
I think there's always times where it's difficult.
Yes. Yep.
I don't think it would be any different if you're a stay-at-home mom all the time, or if you're working a job, or if you're running your own business.
Gotcha.
I think you've got to just keep some focus and clarity,
Yeah.
no matter what you
Yep.
have to do. So then, as I was doing Heritage Makers, I had a little retail space over where Freddy's is now.
Okay.
And I would meet with my clients and do
Back
that.
where the old laundromat was. Okay. Yep.
Yep. I was doing Heritage Makers out of that. And my best friend and we had an opportunity to buy the clothing outlet.
Okay. So that was an existing business.
It was an existing
I
business.
did not know that. Okay.
It was an existing business, and it had been going for about a year and a half.
Okay.
And we had an opportunity to buy it, and we jumped on it.
Wow.
And it was forced inventory, so we never knew what we were going to get.
Okay.
And
it's still that way, correct?
Or
do you have a little more
leeway? We have a
leeway?
little more leeway
Okay.
now.
Okay.
Yeah. But we immediately, the inventory doubled.
Okay.
And so it was hard. Like there was times we'd get invoices and 5 pallets of clothes and shoes, and we didn't know how we were going to do it. But we just kept opening the doors.
And just letting people come in.
And letting people come and trying to make the most of it.
Yeah.
And we even started for a short time. I look at all the businesses I've had and the failures.
Yeah.
And how hard it was to pay those invoices sometimes.
Right.
And how hard it was, in weddings when people would be upset, or we'd be tired, or it would be 2 a.m. and we were ironing tablecloths.
Oof.
And
I was going to say, but weddings could be a very stressful business. Because stress levels are through the roof, the day of a wedding. And here you guys are supposed to make everything perfect, but everybody's human. Like that's a brave business to go into. I think that's awesome.
It was. And cheerleading, the same thing when we have to do cheer tryouts and cut people or, just navigate different things. I look at all the businesses that I've done and all the failures that I've had. And I think often we can get buried beneath our failures and stop trying and stop moving forward and saying, I can't do business anymore.
Right.
Or you can use your failures as a mountain to stand on top of.
Yeah.
So you can choose to be buried between them or to stand on top of them. And I promise you, if you've had, for anybody that's had their own business or that's anything, whether it's even the business of raising your family, you will have failures, and they will come sometimes daily, weekly,
hourly.
Whenever they come, again, choose to stand on top of them. On a mountain of success.
And that's a great attitude to have. And I think for any entrepreneur to be able to survive being an entrepreneur, you just have to know you're going to fail. That is a given. I think where a lot of entrepreneurs just kind of cave in and fail and decide, I'm just going to go work for somebody else, is they don't take their failures, like you were talking about, and actually learning from them. If we look back at last week's episode with Ty and Interwest Cabinet, their entire roof collapsed, and at the same time, their insurance company went bankrupt. And so it's, a lot of people would have just said, forget this, I'm going to go to McDonald's or something, and I'm going to go work for somebody else. But it's the people that I feel like the truly successful entrepreneurs, which you have been, are the people who can take those failures and really build off of them. Because really, failure is not, in my opinion, it's not a bad thing. Like failure is probably one of the best things you can absolutely have in business, because that's where you learn kind of what not to do and how to tweak your business to go down the right path. So
Yeah, that's so true. I remember being at a network marketing conference with Heritage Makers, and I was awarded a top sales award for the year in the whole company. And when I had to talk about it, I remember looking out at my team, and all the leaders in the company, and thinking the only reason I have this sales award, this top award, is because I've been told no more times than anybody else.
yeah,
So
yeah, that's awesome.
so I kind of got through being told no.
Right.
And I still get that, and it's not super fun.
No is what it's. Yeah, it's kind of an icky feeling when somebody tells you no, no matter what business you're in.
Right, no
So,
matter what.
yeah.
So as I was saying, it takes some clarity to know which businesses to do. So about a year ago, I started looking ahead. I'm usually really reflective about where I've been and where I want to go. And I started looking ahead and going, okay, my baby is going to be 13. And my daughter just turned 18.
Wow.
So she's heading off to college.
Yeah.
And I thought, what do I want to do when they're teenagers?
Right.
Like I knew what I did when they were toddlers and, tweens. And now that they're teenagers, and I kind of went through my Rolodex of bucket list jobs.
Yeah.
And I kept coming up with real estate.
Huh.
So it was something I've always thought about. I thought I would love to do that.
Yeah.
And so I went for it. I have some friends that are in the industry, and did a lot of research and visiting with them and deciding what brokerage to go with. And
So far as a real estate agent, you've been killing it.
well,
You have, like, really, you have. So Kymberly is actually, Travis and I own a real estate brokerage, and she's actually at our brokerage with us. And for a brand new agent, you are rocking it. So, and I think it goes back to just your experience and especially the network marketing. I feel like that. I mean, because in any business to be successful, it's all about networking. That's really what a successful business boils down to, is who you know and the connections you have. So, I mean, do you think that's played a role in the success you've had so far?
oh, absolutely. I've said to many people, when they said, how do you like it? And I say, well, I got really my start, and a catalyst for success came through Heritage Makers and network marketing.
Yeah.
And real estate is just kind of taking it to a different level. I don't know if it's, I wouldn't say it's taking it up a level, because it's just a different industry, but I really, really love the industry.
Yeah.
And I really love working in Rexburg.
Yeah. Rexburg's such a good place. It really is.
It is. My husband has often said because I graduated from Madison High School 25 years ago, and I graduated in 1995. And when we come back for reunions or get together with my friends, and all the husbands will talk that are not from here. And my husband has often said, to the other guys, aren't we so lucky to have married a Rexburg girl?
That's so awesome. I love that. I love that your husband's so proud of it. I think that's so cool. I really do. I think that's awesome.
I do think there's something about this community that teaches determination, and like Angela Duckworth, if you've read her books or her TED Talks, she talks a lot about grit. Just that characteristic we need to dive in and do things. And I think our Rexburg community is full of grit. Now, maybe that's because we have such long winters.
Right. That
and
could be.
It's hard to get around.
Yep.
I mean, if you want to drive somewhere, you got to start your car 20 minutes early.
Exactly. We're probably the highest consumers of fuel in the U.S. just from idling.
We're trudging through mud for 8 months out of the year. It's hard. But I think it does give us some determination and grit and just
that
kind of
willpower.
Pioneer spirit.
Yeah.
So
Oh, absolutely.
I think we have in Rexburg.
So you've run several businesses over the years. Obviously, you've just talked about them. Have you had a favorite?
I've been really cautious about what I've done.
Uh-huh.
And so at the time I'm doing them, they've all been my favorite.
Okay. That's awesome.
Some have created a little more anxiety, it's felt more like a job. But right now, as I've been doing real estate now for only about just a short time, I love it.
Yeah.
It is where I feel like I belong. It's where I feel like I'm using skills that I haven't been able to use before. So I love real estate, and I love that I can do it at the same time as I do the clothing outlet.
Right.
So my clothing outlet business I do with my best friend, and we love that. Like, we love working together.
I want to ask you some questions about, because I'm assuming most everybody in Rexburg, probably if you've been into the clothing outlet that's open on Thursdays and Saturdays, right? Thursdays and Saturdays. A lot of people call it Thursdays. That's what I've always called it until Kymberly corrected me that that's not my store's name. But anyway, But yeah, so she's had that clothing outlet. If you guys have ever been there, you probably met her. And my wife goes there all the time. I know my mom goes there all the time, and she knows my family. She's trying to, anyway, it's, yeah. So we've kind of made a lot of connections. She's trying to steal business from me. But that's the true entrepreneurial spirit, right? So with the clothing outlet, I mean, you're only open 2 days a week. How have you been able to make it being open 2 days a week?
You know, that is the question we get all the time. But it's interesting because when men come into the store, it's almost like they are accusing us, like, how can you only work 1 day a week and make any money? Like,
how rude.
That just doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
Like, we're getting attacked for it.
Right.
But when women come into the store, they're like, it's awesome that you only have to work 1 day a week. So take that for what it is. But it's just the model that we've been doing. We've been open for 8 years.
It's awesome. So it's working.
It's always worked for us. And we've always said, if it doesn't work, if it stops working, then we'll reevaluate.
Yeah.
I'm also not afraid to pivot in a business to say we have to make a change.
Yeah.
And we've always only been open on Thursday. And then it was only about 6 weeks ago where my business partner was like, hey, we have enough friends and people that can help us. We're going to open on Saturdays also.
Nice.
So we've only been open on Saturdays for about 6 weeks.
Well, the cool thing, I mean, the thing I like about that business model, because I remember at first when I saw the sign first go up on Main Street, open on Thursdays, I'm like, wait, what?
He's a guy.
Just what? Yeah, exactly. Guilty. Yeah, exactly. It was probably jealousy, is what it was. But then the thing that came to my mind as I've thought about it over time is that's such a genius idea because it creates scarcity, it creates urgency. They're only open 1 day a week. We've got to go. We got to go, and there's only limited amounts of inventory. There's not items that are I'm assuming items that aren't consistently stocked because the inventory rotates and it's, and it's just, I think it's one of the most clever business models I've seen in a really long time. So kudos to you girls for figuring that out.
Thank you. It's been nice. We worked with the business professor up on campus.
Okay.
And he was telling his class one day, he's like, who's been into the clothing outlet to Thursday store? And a few of them raised their hand, and he says, okay, the thing about their store is when you walk in, you are in their reality.
Yes.
We are trying to create an experience. You are in our reality. And he says, I don't know if it's real reality or if it's just their reality.
Right.
But we really want people to have an experience. And, with Rick and I were talking a little bit before about this experience management of businesses, and every industry has been disrupted by experience management. You look at Starbucks, they are selling 4 cents worth of coffee beans
for $5 for
$6. Yeah. $6 because you get an experience, because they put your name on the cup. And so it's more than just an experience. It's a habit. Yeah. It's a religion. It's people,
it's a culture.
Yeah, people are committed to that. And then you look at like Airbnb, because you're getting a different experience every time. And Uber, everyone's taking an Uber because of the experience.
And the convenience, yeah.
So with the clothing outlet, we're really passionate about helping people have a good experience.
And what is that experience you want them to have?
Well, I want them to be happy. I want them to connect with other people. I want them to feel valued as a person and to feel like they're getting a value in their, in what they're buying.
Yeah. And just an observation I've made as I've tagged the clothing outlet on our Facebook posts advertising for this show is I've seen that you guys have a ton of followers on Facebook. And so I feel like anytime somebody goes in your store, they're able to connect with you. They're able to walk out happy. A, they know they got a good deal. B, they just had somebody upbeat come into their life. And C, they now just joined a community of other people that they're going to subscribe to on Facebook and see the kind of the latest sales, almost feel like an inside group, which building that culture, I think, is one of the hardest things to build in business. I know it's been, in our business that we have, that's one of the most difficult things. But once you achieve that culture and that experience. In fact, Travis and I have written a book. It's called The Customer Journey, and that talks all about the customer experience from the second they walk through your door, or for the second it's an initial phone call, or whatever your first interaction is with them, all the way through the close of a sale or whatever it is. It's mapping out that entire journey that you want your customer to have, because that's, I think, success comes from that.
Yeah, I do too. I think culture plays a big part in what we do. It plays a big part in why, I decided to do real estate, and the brokerage I chose was because I wanted to add value to an industry. I wanted to bring a good experience to people that are buying and selling homes.
Yeah.
And I feel like I can do that.
And you're actively doing that right now. I saw, I was scrolling through Facebook, saw a sponsored ad pop up from Kymberly Stoddard, real estate agent, that said, if you list with me, I'll give you 10 hours of cleaning in your house. I'll hire a professional cleaner to maintain your house for you. It's like, holy smokes, what other real estate agents doing that? I've never seen anyone do that. So you're actively looking for those ways to add value, which is so cool. Yeah. So we've got about 2 minutes left. I guess in the end, so there's so many questions I want to ask. This is really hard to keep it to 30 minutes. Which one do I want to ask? Okay, if you could name 2 things that have attributed to your success, what would they be?
Connection, for sure.
Okay.
I've said before, like, connection's my gateway drug. Like, that's what I want people to feel when they're with me.
Yeah.
And I want to help other people connect. So connection is really important. The other thing that I would say has contributed to my success is being a problem solver.
Okay.
Even when my kids were little, if they would be crying about something or throwing a tantrum, I'd always say, what's the problem?
Your kids throw tantrums too?
Weird, huh?
Yeah.
And they're teenagers. And I say, what's the problem? And how are you going to solve the problem? And I think so often we have taught that we can find a solution to a problem, but then what you're doing in your mind is you're looking under a rock. Like, the solution's not going to be there. We don't find solutions, we create them.
We create them.
So that's helped me, as I create solutions to problems and connect.
Awesome. Okay. And I guess just kind of a final question. I feel like you've been able to kind of beat the odds. Obviously, kind of the full-time workers are generally men. And I know there's kind of a big movement going through the U.S. right now of trying to get more women in government, trying to get more women in business and things like that. And you've been able to achieve that, which I feel like very few have been able to do. What advice would you give to maybe other females out there who are maybe struggling with that, if they should do it, if it's an avenue they should pursue, if they could even be successful?
That's a good question. I think you have to be authentic to who you are. If you want to do a business, by all means, start a business, create some solutions, and go out and try some things and do it. If business is not for you, don't feel like you have to, just because there's a push for women to do that.
That's really good advice.
I feel like you can do anything you want if you're authentic, if you're who you feel like you should be. For me, I've always wanted to do business. Yeah. I've always wanted to make a difference. I've always wanted to connect. If it's not for you, I think we look too much at other people and try to compare and say, well, she's doing this, so I want to do that.
Right.
It may not be for everybody.
Yeah. That's great advice. Well, Kymberly, thank you so much for being on the show with us. Always great to see you. And guys, thank you so much for watching. We apologize it's not live today. Hopefully Facebook will fix their many issues that they have. Guys, we do have another podcast coming up this Friday. It'll be with David and Danae Love, the owners of Love Family Piano. Once again, thank you, Kymberly. I'm going to give her a round of applause. In case you haven't noticed, we do have an empty mic today. Travis is gone. Travis is actually on a trip with his daughter in Florida. And then I think today they've last night they flew to Nashville. So his daughter is about to leave on a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And so they're spending some good quality father-daughter time together, and we're really excited for him. But anyway, guys, thank you again. Please make sure to subscribe. Make sure to download the podcast app. Make sure to like our page and to share it. We will see you guys Friday. We are going to attempt to do the live stream at 2:30 p.m. this Friday, and we'll see you guys then. Thank you so much.